All right, guys. So Steve is having, hold it a minute, a little bit of computer trouble, but hopefully he'll get his situation resolved.
Not computer trouble; it's camera problems.
But okay, well, he's having problems with the camera that is plugged into his computer, which makes it a computer problem, right? But anyway, hopefully he'll get it resolved soon. So, how are you guys tonight? Good to see everybody. Oh, look, there he is. He did make it. Yeah, you must have installed some updates because I had a few prompts to install updates, but I never install updates on the weekend. I wait to do it like on a Monday, so that I got all week to resolve the issues that it causes. So, yeah. Well, how is everybody? Steve, what you got going on over there? I don't want you to try to talk while you're adjusting on your camera there, but looks like you about got it where it needs to be.
Yeah. I mean, we can go for ultra zoom, but
so how's things going? What you got going on over
there? It's been, I don't know. It's been a week. I did post a video. Needed to do a little wall hanging caddy. This was specifically for cat treats. So this was the prototype out of Baltic birch. The final one I did out of some true flat material. But it came out pretty well. And for us, it's holding cat treats. But you could hold anything: pens, pencils, rulers, remotes, whatever. It's got a little keyhole slot there to hang it on the wall. I can point. There we go. Simple but fun. Did that on the alien cell. Showed off a little bit of the working through that. So got that out there, but been working on a few additional machines. The Creality Falcon A1 Pro I've been working with. Had a little bit of a gotcha. They have an autofocus calibration, and they do mention it in the setup. It doesn't
it doesn't say do this before you proceed.
Yeah, it doesn't shout at you about it, but it says like, hey, here's the thing. I needed to do that, and I don't know if that's common or not, but it was focusing probably about 3 to 5 mil high, maybe even it could have even been higher than that. But I was getting real fuzzy engravings. The cut quality wasn't there. The even the markings on the text. I was like, okay, this looks like a focus issue. And sure enough, they have two different ways to calibrate the autofocus. So I had to kind of work through that. And since getting that figured out, it's actually been doing a pretty good job on the cut quality, the air assist quality. That's coming out really nice. Engravings have improved a bit. I'm still kind of playing around with their software / Lightburn to kind of see if there's a sweet spot to get kind of your best quality engravings out of that. So been doing a little bit of tinkering with that one. Hopefully here get a few more days, a few more projects out, and I can at least get an initial video out on that one. I only have the base, the laser. They included the honeycomb, but I don't have like the rotary or air exhaust. It's the base unit. So
yeah,
I'm approaching it of, like your first laser. To what is it capable
setup,
So I've been working with that, and I did have a bit of a surprise arrival. Well, I mean, I'd been expecting it a while, but you can kind of see it back here. And actually, let's see, will this work? Whoop, there. Well, there we go. Kind of in focus.
Mostly, it works.
It's got that kind of Batman angled look to it, but. So yeah, the Ikea Master, this is their 50-watt CO2. They call it portable. I mean, it does have a couple of hand holds on the sides, and it's not super heavy.
Yeah.
So they sent that out. Of course, I was supposed to have this a month plus ago, because they wanted to launch it March 15th. They held off till the 20th. But yeah, they had some problems with customs. They finally released it. UPS finally dropped it off. But, it's been sitting in customs land for 6+ weeks. I mean, even just being shipped from somewhere in Asia over here, I don't know how many times it was turned, tumbled, rotated, whatnot. Well, they do test most CO2 lasers at the factory, which means they got to fill them with water. I opened it up. The box seemed okay, wear and tear on the outside from being stored and traveling halfway around the world. But get into the laser and where it was wrapped in plastic, it was a little moist.
Yeah.
There was some moisture there. So I've had to leave it sit for a few days to air out. I opened up some panels. Everything seems okay. I did have to kind of check some connections and things. So I just got it working today. So I can't say much about it other than it's here. I got it powered on. I've got it hooked up to Atom Stack Studio. They do have a Lightburn device file for it, so I should be able to test with that. But
yeah. So what you're saying is the desiccant packs inside the laser was not enough?
Well, so, they have to fill up the tube, and there's a reservoir in there. Yeah. And there is a drain plug on this one in the back. And that's great when they do, that's one thing on any of these benchtop machines is you want to make sure there's a way to drain the thing out, because at some point there's probably going to be some form of maintenance needed to be done, or even if just to swap the fluid. My guess is they drained it out, but there's always some residual fluid in there. Maybe there was a little bit extra, and the cap on the reservoir, I don't know that it was tight. It probably got flipped upside down, started leaking out, and it's wrapped up in a bag, so it's really nowhere to go but in the bag and around the laser. So
yeah,
it was unfortunate. So I got to check to make sure everything's okay with it. I let it dry out for a number of days here this week. Reluctantly plugged it in today. Nothing went.
You didn't let no smoke out.
Didn't let any smoke out. So here we are. We it's on the bench. We've got it. So
cool.
So I got to be working with those two. And then I don't know if you can see it back sitting on the Onefinity. I just cleared that off, but sitting on the Onefinity is the LX2 from Laser Packer. Again, that one was supposed to come November.
Yeah.
And so
what you're saying is you got lots of free time in the next few weeks?
I don't have lots of free time. And this is why I try to, this is why I don't say yes to everything. And this is why I try to space them out so I can do more fun stuff like this. I can work more with an individual machine instead of having them pile up on each other and have all the demands of, hey, I saw this arrived, 2 hours ago. Do you have the review done yet?
Yeah.
So that's what's been going on here. Hopefully we'll get that caught down and get back to some productivity and some fun playing.
Yeah. Well, it's yeah. It's been a busy week here. I did, Atom Stack, iKeer. I guess it's all in one and the same now. They did ask me about the CO2 machine, but I was, I was kind of wanting to step back. As many of you know, I've got the other channel that I'm trying to do some stuff with. It's spring. Here in the spring, I'm out in the yard working, doing grass work, getting things in order. And so I knew I didn't want to be bogged down in the shop as much. So I've passed on some machines. I did take a couple of machines just out of curiosity, which, to be honest, I think it was like Christmas. It's about the same time we were talking to Atom Stack when I let them talk me into these machines. And a couple of them I'd even forgot about, like this one right here. I had forgot I even told them, yeah. So I've got this Hans Maker. Is it Hans Maker? It is Hans Maker, right? Yeah, Hans Maker D1 Ultra, which we're gonna have to come up with like a naming scheme that doesn't sound like other manufacturers. But anyway, it's a dual source blue and IR machine. And the IR works great. The blue's having some issues. I'm hoping it's a firmware problem and not a mechanical problem, but we'll see. But I did get it up and going, and I was able to engrave a dragon on a business card using the IR part of it. But the blue it's almost like the galvanometer is like not understanding the language that the laser's speaking. So I'm hoping that's a firmware issue because it is moving. It's just not moving appropriately. So I'm hoping there's a firmware mismatch somewhere with the machine because it is supposed to be Lightburn compatible as well as their software. So and that's cool if you can get a dual source that's compatible with either software. So we'll see. But yeah, I had told them I'd take it back like during Christmas, I guess it was. But I had told them to refrain from sending me a straight up beta unit that I didn't want to prototype. And so they waited and they said that this one was supposed to be the final product and all this stuff. So we'll see. I'm hoping, like I said, I got a firmware issue. Haven't been able to get anybody to reply back to my email this weekend. Of course, it's a weekend. So we'll see how that goes once I can talk to them and see if I'm doing something wrong. It's very likely that I'm doing something wrong because the instructions on it were a little vague. It's kind of a new machine. So the instructions, we all know that a lot of times these newer lasers, the instructions are less than exceptional. So but we'll see.
Yeah.
But that's the only other than I did get my P2S in, and I have been printing like crazy. That thing ain't quit printing for I think like 3 days now. I've had it printing like day and night. So far cool. So good.
Cool.
Other than this one snake bit roll of translucent PET G that I got from Bamboo Labs, it has had two crossovers on the spool so far. I've never had one, but this roll I've had it twice to where I had to pull it out of the AMS and like it wasn't just tangled, like it was a crossover. Like I had to pull, and untangle it and then put it back in the AMS.
Yeah. So
I'm like, because I thought maybe I let some slack get in it, but it's been printing on that same spool for like it was an hour into a print earlier and did it. I'm like, that slack shouldn't be causing that. But I'm printing a lot of these things for my spools because that way I can put them in the AMS. These are the little containers for your what I just said it a minute ago. Desiccant. Yeah. Well, I ordered a bucket of it, so I'm going to fill these up. And each one of the spools in the AMS is going to get one of these inserted into because they're made to go in here. And so you just like take this and you stick it in the hole and it snaps in. And so when it's in the AMS, it's got all the desiccant in the middle. And with this one, with having the AMS dryer, periodically you can just dry the filament, the desiccant and everything. And then hopefully that'll let it last longer. Right now, I think it's only running about 20-something% humidity inside the AMS because this one's got it monitors all that for you. And so I'm printing out a bunch of these. And I also printed out they sell or they have the files for boxes that go in the front of the AMS right near the feed tubes. And so I've got those in there also. And so by the time I do this, I'll have like 1.5 pounds of desiccant inside that thing. I shouldn't have any issues with moisture between prints, hopefully. So, but I'm just having some fun. I had this translucent orange PET G, and so I was like, you know what? These look pretty cool, and it's going to add little orange accents to my AMS. And so the other ones I did out of black ABS, but these I'm doing out of PET G. So. because I figured that's probably going to be about where I land. I'm going to have to do my, as far as the AMS dryer, I'm not going to be turning it up above PETG very often. So that's what we got going on. So I got 5 printed so far. And I got another one over there running now. I'm just doing them one at a time in case I have a print failure. I don't lose, 4 or 5 hours. But so far, I haven't had any problems with this machine. And my A1's in there running right now, printing an adapter for this thing. This was my prototype, but when I did my design, somehow or another, when I lofted this, I didn't do it correctly. So I lofted like 3 millimeters thick down to like one line in the drawing, and that's why it's got holes in it. So I had to redo my design, but I was able to check my fit with that one. So, but yeah, just playing around with some machines, getting ready to do some testing and do a bunch of 3D printing. Having fun. So what have all you guys been going on? I see where Santa said he's having to tear his laser down. I think, and he got is it a Mon port that he's got? Is CO2?
Maybe.
What's that Mon port? But that sucks.
Yeah, I haven't messed around with too much deskant in mine. But it might be a little more stable in my basement. I mean, there are seasonal swings, but
yeah.
We have a basement bathroom down there, gets used quite a bit, so we kind of have a dehumidifier running in there just to, with 3 teenage boys,
Yeah. Well, it's not terrible out here. Like according to my little gauge over there, though, right now I'm at 50% humidity in here with the mini split running. But now we did have thunderstorms today, so there's that. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to maximize being able to use the AMS with the dryer built into it. Like let's say at night when I shut the shop down, I can turn the dryer on to run for like 8 hours, and it'll dry the filament, and it'll also force the moisture out of the deskit and everything and purge the system. And so when I come in here the next day, my filament is dry, and I've got lots of deskit in there to try to keep it, lower than what it is. So far, like I've got a couple of them inside the Creality, the little pie that I've got right there, and it's at like 18%, like inside it, it's at 18%. So once I get that set up and get all that deskit in there, I feel like it's going to do a really good job. So I've been watching some videos and trying to, come up with the way that I can maximize making sure I don't have any moisture issues out here, because like I said, this isn't built like a house. So yeah, it's a little different. It's a little different environment. I'm a little concerned about the dust, but so far I haven't had any problems with dust getting into the machine. I did print out a whole bunch of dust covers for all the little holes and stuff in it. And so far so good.
Just remember, there are a lot of people who will mod their machines to death for no apparent reason at all.
Oh yeah.
And in some cases to the detriment of its functionality.
Yeah, it's like I said, I haven't done any mods other than, like I said, to seal it up for dust, and then I'm gonna put the deskits in there just to make sure I don't have moisture issues, because some of the filaments that I'm putting in there aren't going to be getting used as much as the one in the house. The one in the house, that thing it's been running pretty much every day for the past 2 weeks, all day. Like I got it to where it quits running at about 9 o'clock at night when I get ready to go to bed. So. But so far, so good. I love it. I love the ABS, man. I've been sitting on rolls of ABS since I bought my Creality Ender. That because I couldn't use it. I didn't know when I got into it, and I bought ABS. And so I've got rolls of ABS that I've been sitting on, and I've been using it with this machine, and it's printing flawless, even with, another company's materials. So happy with it. Jer's got a question. Says, just curious how much longer it would take it with the CNC to cut the numbers out if instead of the laser. I know more clamping, but actual runtime. It probably wouldn't have been that much more runtime than using my 40-watt laser. But the thing that would have been an issue is a lot of times especially with this 1/4 inch plywood with the real thin veneers on it, you have to take extra careful not to peel the veneers off the plywood. I was going to use a compression bit. I was going to do them on the CNC, but then I changed my mind because, like I said, with the 1/4 inch ply that I use, it's got real thin veneer layers on it, and you can delaminate it if you're not careful. And so the laser's the best approach, and there's the whole clamping 1/4 inch ply on a CNC that wide too. When you're looking at having to use 4-foot wide sheets, so there was a lot more clamping involved, a lot more setup. So I chose to do it on the lasers instead. I saw another question somewhere. There's one. I have the F2 Ultra laser and accidentally did some engraving on the bottom of my plate. Is there anything I can do to way to clean it up, smooth it out, or buff it? Any ideas? Krylon. 2X, 2X Rust-Oleum. I mean, it's gonna happen a lot if you're not careful. The best way to keep it from happening is to take like some sacrificial pieces of plywood or something and just put down when you're doing things. But it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen, and I would just say roll with it. I mean, your laser's too clean. People are gonna wonder if you ever use it.
Yeah.
Any baseboard, sacrifice board is gonna get etched up at some point, and if you're worried about it looking good versus putting out material,
you could make you could cut you out like a little cover, to like a decorative cover.
Yeah, I mean, you can get. It's nice when you have like, maybe a piece of something in there that you can swap out from time to time, because you do want it clean. You don't want it too mucked up, but it's kind of like the first scratch on a new car. It really sucks, but after a while you get used to it. And you're like, okay, now I can really have fun with this thing because I'm not worried about it cosmetically. So,
yeah, I had a speed and power test when I first got the was one of the fibers.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I went to run a speed and power test, and like I had the settings wrong, and so I wound up marking the bed on the machine, and luckily it was black. I just got some black spray paint, sprayed over it, and called it done. Because, like I said, it's going to get messed up.
Yep. Santa's asking, I haven't used much True Flat until last week. I've changed settings trying to reduce soot on the edge. It had my hands black. Is that just something to deal with on this type of material? So the core of True Flat is MDF. And so MDF in general is going to be kind of charry, sooty. You got a lot of resins and fibers in there, and not so much natural material. So yeah, it is going to be a thing. That being said, I mean, I do notice a difference between, say, a CO2 and a diode cutting it. CO2 is usually a little bit cleaner. But again, I think if you can just kind of dial in your settings to get the most efficient burn on it, and sometimes that's maybe 2 laps around at a little faster to reduce the charring but get a good cut, it'll help. But yeah, I generally keep like a microfiber cloth or something handy, and I'll just wipe the edges of that stuff. If it's too complex, it gets a little messy, but it's something that's hard to get away from.
Yeah, I did. I done boxed them up now, but I did a bunch of name tags for Mayman. I did them out of the True Flat, and they look good. But I did, after I got them off the laser, I took them all and wiped them down real good. And I just used an old Windex bottle with some water, because I was using alcohol, but I find that alcohol, especially after you've engraved it, can soften up the adhesive on it. So I just used some water, wiped the soot and everything off of them, and then I went and clear coated them to seal everything, and they look good. I got them boxed up, ready to ship out, so
yeah,
can't really go grab them. But let me see if I can find the picture here. What did I do with my pictures? I know I took a picture of it. Oh, here they are. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's the name tags with the magnets on the back. So it's a good material, especially for some things. Now, structurally, I don't know if I'd try to like build a shelf with it, but for decorative stuff, in small boxes and stuff like that, it works great.
Lab Comics 1890s asking, why would you think there's not many videos on the Ohmtech Polar Light 55-watt desktop CO2 laser engraver and cutter? I'm tempted to get it. It's a good question. Sometimes it just depends on who they send them out to, or whether people buy them and want to do their own content on them. They did send one to me, and I've done a number of videos. Did one review, one kind of follow-up one, and then I've done a few project videos using it. And that's what I try to do is after the initial review, I try to put out some real project videos. And in there, sometimes I give my kind of ongoing feedback with the machine and such. It just kind of gets it viewed by more people, because some people don't care about the machine, so they won't watch the review, but they'll watch a project video and go, oh, that's a kind of cool machine. I want to see more about it. So it's kind of a give and take on there. I don't always do like whatever machine 6 months later or a year later, unless I'm really consistently using it and want to, give a lot of good feedback on it. Yeah. After some real consistent use. So, but it's a decent laser. And it's got a couple caveats to it over some of the others. It's air pump and water chiller are integrated inside of it, and not as easy to upgrade / bypass as others. So that might be something if you are someone who likes to tinker or want to really try to maximize the production time with it, or your cut quality. Those are things that are going to be a little bit harder to kind of mod and upgrade on that one. But it has a Ruida controller in it. I need to find some time to spend more time with it. I did play around with trying to get a chuck rotary to work with it, and it would work with it, but I wasn't quite getting the right behavior out of it. So ones like the Reno from Monport, they do not support chuck rotaries natively. So that would be kind of one benefit over it or whatnot. But yeah, when we're looking at these desktop CO2 machines, especially the kind of all-in-one integrated ones, there's always going to be some caveats to the lasers. And we do talk a lot about that here on the live stream as they come up, such as your question here. Yeah. So it's hard to point to specific times where we've talked about this in the past, but if you have any specific questions about it, now's a good time to drop that in there, and we'll try to get back to it to get tonight.
Yeah, I think part of the problem with this machine too is they had 3 or 4 iterations of the Polar. They had the Polar, then they had the Polar Plus, then they had the Polar Light.
Yeah.
So I had the Polar Plus, and I liked it, but it is not exactly the same as the Polar Light. There are some differences between the machines. So I think that's one reason maybe why, is because they kept changing what they called the machine and making changes to it. And so when you have that many versions of a Polar, like if they'd have wanted to send me the Polar Light, I'd been like, well, I've had the Polar Plus. Do I really want to do it? So I think that probably didn't help, the fact that they were pushing out so many different versions of the machine. But I enjoyed the Polar Plus that I had. It did a good job. And I think a lot of the same stuff is in the Light. It's just, I think it's got a few budget cuts in the build quality. So it may be a little less sophisticated, a little less bells and whistles. Tracy Bachman is asking, what is the best humidity to keep filament at? And that's kind of a variation of a question. In a perfect world, you would want it to have 0 moisture content in your filament to make sure, absolutely sure, that there's no issues with steam, instant steam buildup in the nozzle and that kind of thing. But realistically, most of us, if you can keep it 20 to 30, you're probably doing a pretty good job. Me personally, I want to try to keep mine below 20 if I can, and that's just because I'm just being a little overprotective, I guess. If I can get the AMS to stay down below like 18 or so internally, I think that'll be fine with me. But everything that I've seen, everybody's saying that you want to try to keep it between 20 and 30 operationally.
That's even lower than I've read, but okay.
Well, I mean, like I said, that's some of the filaments are more particular. Like you get it in like the ASA and stuff like that with the higher temperatures, you're going to get a lot more of a flash steam approach. And I've got some ASA and some ABS in there. So, but
yeah, PLA
I would say 20 to
are,
30. I guess it depends. You could probably get 110 different answers, but
PLA and ABS are less picky about it. So generally I try to shoot for 30. Some places say as high as 50. But the one that I've found real picky about it is like TPU. I haven't done anything with nylon, but I've heard that's also really picky. But you don't need to be too excessively worried about it. If I would say if you're in a controlled environment in your home and it's 40 to 50, I wouldn't be excessively concerned about it.
Yeah.
But when you start getting in the 50 to 60, especially like out here in the summertime, right now humidity is low because I got the shop heater on, and that tends to dry out the air. So it's around 30. Well, the thing says 34 to 38% humidity over the past 24 hours. That's not bad. You wouldn't have to worry about your typical easygoing filaments too much, but some of the more specialty ones are the ones where you get a little bit. It's a lot more picky about it. So,
yeah. Well, it stays right now. It's 45% inside my house, and I've got the open air AMS in there. And the colors that I use a lot that I run through pretty normal. I don't have to dry very often, but if there's a roll of something on there that I'm not using and it sits out for too long, I'll have to stick it in the dryer and run it through the dryer after a while. But out here, what I'm worried about is because it is very humid. It's Alabama. We're now getting into that part of the year to where it's probably going to have thunder showers every afternoon. And so I'm in here on a concrete slab. I'm going to try to do what I can to make sure I don't have any issues, because of all the printing stuff that I've done since I've got into these printers, the biggest thing that has kicked my butt and caused more failed prints than anything is letting my filament get too moist. That's accounted for most every issue I've had. I've corrected it by drying filament. So been a little bit of an overkill with it, but like I said, if I can get it down to 0, I'd be happy with that. But I know that's not going to happen. But I am going to try to push it down below 20 if I can keep it that way, because I got some ASA, I got some TPU, I got some ABS and stuff like that I'm playing around with. So we'll see. Like I said, I'll run it for a while and see how it does. But so far, I think it's at like 30 since I've installed it. It's been at like 30 inside there, and I haven't had any problems. Even with the ABS, I haven't had any problems. Mark says I use those. Oh, wait a minute. Nope, I clicked the wrong one. Wesley. Wesley says, hi, guys. I'm new to CNC World. What's a good user-friendly software for the 4040 Pro Max? You just recently tried out. What's the software that you can do the monthly?
The real easy beginner one is Easel.
Yeah.
It's a monthly subscription kind of deal. And I think in the long run, it costs more than Carbide Create does at a monthly subscription. But out of the beginner friendly ones, I would say that's probably the easiest to just kind of jump in, and it really walks you through this stuff. So if you want to like pay I think it's like $15 a month for for it. You can at least get your feet wet with it, kind of figure things out. It'll walk you through some stuff. But I've been using VCarve for over 10 years. And so having that, you can buy a perpetual license, buy once, cry once, you're done. And use that to kind of set up the files, and then GSender to actually run the machine, to control the machine, is free. And that's almost, it's you can tweak the profile on it, but you can literally plug that in, install the driver, hit connect to COM port, and go. Now, there's some things you should tweak on it to dial it in for that machine, but it works pretty slick. But that's when you're creating your G code and then importing it into another application like that. So, Carbide Create I have probably the least experience with. I know a lot of people who really like it. I think it might be a balance between the two as far as cost and difficulty. But those are kind of the popular ones.
Yeah, I started out with Easel, and it was 3 or 4 months after using Easel, I got to where I was wanting to do some things that I needed a little more sophisticated software for. I think they've added some features since I used Easel, but Easel is a really good, like it'll hold your hand and walk you through it a lot more than some of the other softwares will. But like I said, Vectric is my go-to. Like I do all my designing for CNC in Vectric now. So, Chuck's asking where do I get the file for the desiccant holder for the spools. If you go into Maker World on Bamboo Labs, you can just search for desiccant. This one's called Universal Silica Gel / Desiccant Box. And there's 2 different versions. They have one that's made for the little hygrometer going into it. And then they have the other one that's just the plain. These are just the plain ones because I didn't need anything to measure the moisture, because both my dryer and the AMS both have that built into them. So I didn't fool with that. That's just one more thing for me to put batteries in my opinion. So I didn't do that, but that's that file as well as the AMS dryer inserts. I just went to Maker World and said P2S, desiccant holders or whatever.
Just be mindful if you're going to be using higher temp ones. Don't print them out of PLA.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to
get a little soft.
These need to be made out of something that is going to be able to handle the heat that you're going to have to run to dry your filament. So, like, I'll always run PETG if I can. But like if I got some PLA, which I do, I got some PLA in there right now, so I can't run it, but up to PLA anyway. But I did find out that the AMS will actually tell you, hey, you do know that if you run this temperature, you're going to melt your PLA. And so it's like you have to change it to PLA, and then it'll let you do it then without a warning. But you have to, like, if it knows the filaments that are in there, it'll tell you, hey, you don't want to do that. So,
yep.
Yeah, y'all are asking. This is the ones that I downloaded and inserted into the top of the machine, or these. I printed them out of black because I had some ABS, and these I wanted to do like higher temperature. I didn't even know I had any at the time. I didn't know I had any ASA over there, but I do. But I printed these out of ABS, and then these I'm printing out of PETG. But this is the file here. So if you're going to Maker World looking for it. So, but yeah, just adding a few things, trying to take some precautions out here because, like I said, I ain't exactly in a house. But we'll find out how it holds up and how it does in a more less finished environment. So far, so good though.
Anthony Rose asking, using the Makerspace for fiber and UV printer, but trying to figure out pricing and how to market stuff and not lose my butt. I think he's had another comment above there. He has his own 3D printer and also an Omtech CO2, but using the Makerspace for the other. So kind of a combination of owned equipment, but also, Makerspace. So pricing, what are your top tips on that?
That is a very controversial topic. Obviously, you're going to have to stay, depending on your market where you are, you're going to have to price to move because you can't price yourself out of a job because, I hear people all the time saying, if I'm not making X amount of money, I'm not doing it. Well, you can die on that hill if you don't watch it because you'll price yourself out of work to where you can't do anything. So there is a balance. I agree. You shouldn't work for free, but a lot of times, especially when you're first starting out and you're unknown in the community, it's a little tough. So you have to bait them in with lower prices to try to get them in. And then once you've established a good customer base, then you just gradually increase your prices to control the influx of orders. Because if you can't keep up with orders, like if you're running as hard as you can and you just can't keep up, you're probably on the bottom end of the price pyramid there. You might want to bump your prices up a little bit. And I'm not trying to say gouge the prices or anything like that. I'm just saying if it's that busy for you, two things: you're gonna slow down the number of jobs coming in, possibly, but you're gonna also increase your revenue. And if the jobs that's coming in don't slow down, then you're really going to increase your revenue. And so a lot of times you can tell how the market reacts when you start raising your prices. The market's going to react. Either they're going to continue doing what they're doing, it's going to slightly taper off, or it's going to fall off. If it falls off, of course, you probably went a little heavy on the pricing. But I don't try to get rich off of one job because most of the stuff that we do with lasers and 3D printers and CNCs, I can have a laser job going, I can have a CNC job going, and I can have a 3D print job going. And the whole time I'm over here doing marketing or doing, invoices, paying taxes, doing whatever. And so it's not like you're doing the traditional woodworking where you're standing there using the tools. The tools are doing the job for you. So to me, that lets me price a little cheaper because I got so many machines making things at one time that I'm making, $100 here, $400 there, $300 here. And so it adds up. But you've got to have to get out in the neighborhood and just look at what people are paying. I mean, you're not going to compete with like Hobby Lobby and places like that are selling wholesale cookie cutter stuff. But those are going to be your competition a lot of times. You have to offer something that Hobby Lobby doesn't, which is the customization, the bigger size. Instead of having a 16-inch, maybe yours is an 18 or a 20-inch, but it's basically the same thing. You have to offer something that the competition doesn't, even if that's just a quicker turnaround. I get a lot of people send me screenshots and stuff off of Etsy and go, "Hey, how much can you make this for?" And of course, I'm sitting here looking at a picture of it on Etsy, so I know exactly what they're entertaining paying for it. But the difference is they know me, and so I can make it and have it to them within a week most of the time. Whereas Etsy, they may find out 3 days before the birthday party that, hey, it hadn't got here yet. And so then typically they come back to me and go, "Could you please? We'll pay you double." So you just got to fill the market out and don't work for free, but don't try to like pay for all your tools on every single job either. I mean, you gotta kind of understand. Like right now, I will say right now, $10, $15. It has gotten to the point where you can't get McDonald's for $15. So if you're doing any kind of work, $15 to me is like, that's the floor. That's the lowest you should charge for anything that you do. Unless it's like I did the name tags from my friend May May. She orders them from me every event she has, and she'll order 60 to 100 at a time. Those I don't do $15 a piece. Those are cheaper because I'm doing bulk. So a lot of variables, and it's I don't know that it's not a one size fits all type situation because what works in Montana is not necessarily going to work in New York City. It's different audience.
Yeah. There's a lot of factors to look at. You definitely have to take into account your local market or where you're going to be selling them. The key thing I would say is if you're trying to do what everybody else is doing, it's going to be a race to the bottom. You're going to struggle. And in that case, you're definitely going to have to look at just make sure you're looking at all of your costs. I see a lot of people who think they're doing well, then end of the day or end of the year after they've paid taxes and they've paid utilities and they've, maybe worn out their equipment and had to fix them and such, they realize they're not making a lot of money. So you do want to try to come up with your metric and maybe try to come up with what does it really cost you to run your machine between electricity and wear and tear? Maybe put you can create some formulas there based on, hey, to break even with my machine, I need to make X amount per hour that it runs. And hopefully that number is pretty low, but you want to factor that in, and then add on, anything else you feel you need to do, and then see how long it takes you to make a few of them. And if the math doesn't work, sometimes it's not the product you should offer, because you've done the math and you can't, if you can't break even at that price, let alone have a profit, then it's absolutely it's a non-starter. From there, you just have to guess what is your time worth to you. For some people, they're just happy to get enough to keep material coming into the shop, keep them busy, because they're kind of doing it more as a recreational thing. Other people are like, I have to make $60 an hour in the shop, and so then they start doing that math. But it what sells down in Alabama for Clack might not sell up here for me, or what might sell for $20 here might sell for 10 there or 100 there. It just will, the market in your area, your niche will bear.
Yep.
So it's a tough thing, and you're sometimes you go to a show. Don't even go as a vendor. Just walk around, see what people are pricing their things at. Maybe talk to some vendors. Don't try to necessarily snipe their ideas, but explain to them what you're doing and maybe get some feedback from them. And then your first time setting up at one of those, just be happy with not making any money. It's an education. That's your tuition. That's your learning experience. What are people interested in? What did they seem to be willing to pay for and such? Your first couple of shows, you're probably going to lose money. You might break even. If you're lucky, you'll have a good sale, but don't be discouraged by it. Look at it as a learning experience.
Yeah. Valor Arc Design says, morbid topic, but what, if anything, have you done to prep your family for the unlikely event of your passing away? What would happen to your shop and project files, etc.? I'll be honest with you. If that were to happen, like I said, it is what it is. I've got a couple of friends that have enough knowledge to help my wife with doing whatever needs to be done out here. But yeah, as far as those files and stuff like that, I don't know that those would be a great concern. Maybe, but I've got a couple of family members that are kind of dabbling in it, and maybe one day, if nobody else wants to have a part of it, that might become their thing. But yeah, that's not something I really emphasize a lot on. I've got insurance and so forth that would handle, as far as the money, that wouldn't become an issue. Now, cleaning out the space might be, but that's where like my buddy Klein and Billy and some of my friends would have to step up and, help figure out what goes where or whatever. Or Steve. Steve might have to come down and help out or something. You know what I mean? There are options out there, but
no, I think from the physical aspect of the shop stuff, yeah, I mean, it's good to have, especially if they can be local, a good friend. I got a couple friends here that if something was to happen to me, my wife could kind of lean on them to say, hey, I need your help in cleaning out the shop and doing something with the stuff. Monetarily wise, there's no debt out here. And so it's more of just,
you could liquidate it if you want
to. Does whether it's my wife or my kids, do they want it? Any of it, they can have it. They want to use it, they can use it. Or if they want it, just moved out of the way, liquidated, donated, whatever, it'll, that it's good to have someone that is close enough to myself and or my family that can maybe take that on for someone. Now, the other aspect of it is, okay, so say that happens now. Yeah, I have my Etsy shop. Maybe I have agreements with some affiliate programs and such. How do they make sure that they can access those and shut those down? And so that should be part of your, I don't know, business continuity plan. Is here's the red folder.
Here's the keys to the palace.
Yeah, here's the red folder, or here's the password vault. Here's whatever. It's a good thing to set that up, and spouse, lawyer, someone say, here's the master keys, and here's all the accounts. That's definitely something to try to stay organized with your business or even your hobby income, and don't make it a hassle for, I mean, that honestly, that would be my biggest concern. Just the amount of stuff that my wife would have to deal with in my shop is probably one of the biggest issues she would have. And that's what, and I've had this conversation after dealing with grandparents and parents passing away. I have told loved ones, the biggest thing, if I need to be involved with dealing with your estate, the biggest thing you can do for me now is figure out what, don't just give, don't write down, oh, Johnny wants this. Make sure Johnny wants it and then put it in the will.
Yeah.
Clean out your stuff. Because there's nothing worse than going through, you know, what was that person's treasures is maybe trash to everyone else. And so maybe clean out the shop a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, those things happen, and you know, you pray that they don't, but it's beyond our control. So you just, like I said, that is something that a lot of people have to be concerned with. And I do agree there needs to be a centralized location for all the information needed to, you know, run the business or whatever. Because like if something happened to me and you, I mean, there are revenue streams that would probably keep going for a while. I mean, eventually they would, you know, fade away, but I have some revenue streams that aren't really dependent on me being alive today. And now it, you know, they would eventually play out. There would be tax issues to have to be overcome, you know, in aftermath. But yeah, those are always things to be considered. So,
yep.
Let's see here.
Sharon's asking, I need to make some reusable spools. Are the spools usually interchangeable? I have a FlashForge 85M Pro and a print file for a hex spool. Think it should work, but wonder what you guys think. So it depends on the device. Now the 85X has kind of the external mounts, and they kind of have the spring-loaded rubberized teeth that go on the inside of the spool. Those generally tend to be fairly forgiving on the diameter to some point. Now, some might be super small or super big, and you might need to print adapters for the actual spools, but not necessarily print the whole spool. That being said, you can buy refills for a lot of filament, like Bamboo offers refills because their spools actually twist apart, and then you can slide them onto the new cardboards. They've got the RFID tags in them, and it's pretty slick. I've printed out some of those, and I've used that on, there you go. I've used that on multiple printers. So I think on the 85M, you're probably going to be okay with the relatively generic spools because it does have a little bit of that spring-loaded tension on the actual spool holder. Others that have
I can't get it back.
the one I've had the most headache with is actually that Anycubic AMS. With the cardboard ones, I actually had to print rims to make sure that it was running smooth, and that had nothing to do with the diameter of it, but just the rigidity and it wanted some smooth rails to work on. So I think you'll be okay with most standard spools if you find one you like, but you know, maybe print one and just check it. But anything that has that kind of spring-loaded spool holder, you should be a little fairly flexible unless it gets too small or too big.
Yeah, and if you're getting like Bamboo or some of the companies, if you're getting their filament, you know, a lot of times, you know, you'll get the spool. But I like Bamboo's, and I saw somebody said that you can download them and print them as well. And you can go on Maker World. But now if you're going to be printing these, especially like we're talking about, if you're going to put them in a dryer or whatever, then you need to make sure that you use an adequate material to print your spool, because you don't want your spool to melt before your filament does. So those are things that I have to consider as well. But yeah, I've got plenty because I keep trying to buy refills, but every time I go on Bamboo's website, they're out of refills and they only have it on the spool. And so I end up buying more spools.
Yeah. So. Well, I accidentally bought a refill early on and didn't realize it. So
It
then
didn't have a spool for it.
then I had to print out a spool. Well, now I've got extra spools sitting around. So, but yeah. Tanks is asking Clack specifically. I need to upgrade my A1S. Would you suggest to upgrade like you, get the P2S or get two A1s for the same price? Is there any great difference only for PLA?
For PLA?
If you're only doing PLA, I'd probably stick with the A1s.
Yeah, the A1s work great, especially if you're not having any problems with moisture wherever you're at. That would be the only reason I would think that you would be able to justify it, is if you're in an environment to where moisture is just constantly a problem for you, then maybe the P2S would bring something to the table. But if you're having good luck with, your prints and all you use is PLA, grab a couple more A1s if you got
the A1s are going to be quieter too.
Yeah. I don't know. This one's pretty quiet. I was actually shocked because I heard everybody talking about how loud the P1S is.
Yeah, but if you put, I bet if you ran them side by side, you'd notice a difference.
I don't know. The AMS is louder. That's the only part that I could hear. Like, it's running now. It's been running this whole time.
You also have noise canceling on your microphone. I'm just saying, most people have commented on both the P1S and the P2S that it is louder than the A1. There's more mechanical noise.
It's a little like right now when it's doing the real tight turns, it's a little squeaky. Like, just a little bit, but yeah, it's not bad. But if you're just doing PLA and it's, like I said, moisture's not been a problem, I'd probably just stick with it. I mean, I love my A1. It is running right now as we speak. It is printing in the house. But if I was going to put, I wanted something that I could print ABS, ASA, TP, I wanted to be able to print all the filaments. I didn't care if I could do like 19 colors. I didn't really care about that part. I just wanted something that I could print with harder materials. Cause printing stuff for taking out and going fishing or hunting or just pieces for your car or, little things for like on the lawnmower or the tractor, you might want to use like ABS or ASA or something like that. And you can't do that with I guess you could if you built an enclosure, but that would be very difficult with an A1 to print those filaments. So that was why I went ahead and spent the extra money and got this one. That and the dust, because I needed something I could seal up, keep dust out of it. Because you can look at my keyboard and tell it's dusty in here. Well, can't really see it, but it's dusty. Trust me. So say, see my packaging. Whoop whoop. Yeah. Yeah. This is recycled packaging too, guys. Y'all talking about making money. See, this is a box that something else came in. I just use it.
DJS is asking how your Montport Reno is doing. My 65 Pro is working great.
Mine's on vacation.
Mine's still in my basement workshop. And so it's great for when I got to run something down there, because it's got a smaller working area, has a smaller footprint. After upgrading the air, it's a pretty nice machine. But that's within, I've got the 45 Pro. It's got kind of the limited working area. Granted, it's a lot more working area than say a K40 was, and about the same footprint and size machine, but it doesn't get the same kind of workout as some of the machines out here. It's more kind of like, hey, I got an idea, I want to prototype something quick, or I need to cut out some small pieces of acrylic. So it works. I don't have any problems with it, but it doesn't get heavy workout. So have y'all heard anything else about the Polar 2 RF? They released a teaser, said more information will be coming in January, but nothing but crickets since. I haven't heard really anything out of OhmTech in quite a while. I know they've been releasing a number of things. They've talked about their larger RF machines. They've been releasing a UV printer, a DTF printer. I think they even had an embroidery machine. It kind of, I don't know. I mean, X-Tool's kind of doing this too. They're throwing darts at the maker wall and seeing what sticks. But no, I haven't had a lot of direct contact with OhmTech in quite a while. So
Seth Rosenberg said, I've been cutting some tiny parts that keep falling through my honeycomb. Any suggestions to prevent this from happening? Thinking about using some metal window screens. Your thoughts? Depends on what kind of laser you're using. If you're using a blue laser, just put you some spacers underneath there and put a piece of glass there. The only problem is the smoke's not going to go through the honeycomb like it's supposed to. Clean the honeycomb out, clean the crumb tray out before you start. I don't know about the window screen. The honeycomb is about. I have had some really, really small stuff before that I needed to cut, but and I have cut over a piece of glass with my blue lasers. But if you're using a CO2, that might not necessarily be the best approach. But yeah, I mean, I guess you could try to use some smaller honeycomb or some smaller screen, but.
Yeah, I'd be worried about cutting through that. And you got to make sure you get the actual metal screen. There's a lot of,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, yeah, if you're cutting those smaller parts and they're falling through. Best I could say is, depending on the size of them, hold on a second. If you're not doing really large things, this is I think it's actually from Laser Pecker. It's a small cutting tray. So it's got real shallow, tray there. And so it'll still let air go through on the bottom, but it will, it's obviously not going to let them drop, but it'll still let the air flow through it. So it's kind of like a really small knife bed. Granted, this is only about 4 by 5 inches. So,
yeah. We'll let you have this one, Steve.
There's a reason that there's not a video about that one on my channel, and why there's no new We Create stuff on my channel. I had problems with it. And their design, their design for cable management is not great. And so they have a cable in some of that kind of snakeskin stuff, and they're using the wrong type of wire that's not flexible enough. And so it has a tendency to, well, it's twofold. It needs to be rigid to stay in the shape they want it, but once it binds, it gets out of shape, and then it kinks and it destroys itself. What they should have is more flexible wire in cable chain, and not this kind of flexible tubing stuff. And so I went through multitudes of cables with them, trying to get mine to work reliably. And it just, I finally gave up. I told him, I said, I can't continue to work on this thing when I can't trust it and such. So I personally had issues with the 45 Pro. I had initial issues with their 20-watt one that I got worked out, but to me, their quality control mixed with some maybe cutting corners on their design is just, you could get one that works great. And I know there are a lot of people that have them and they work well for them and they love them. And I am happy for those people. I am not one of those people that has had luck with their vision lifting body design. So,
yeah. Well, mine actually didn't have that issue. I got lucky. And I ran it for a while. I didn't run it long term, but I ran it for a while and it didn't have that issue. But I will say that from the very first We Create machine that they sent out, it did have issues. I got a pre-production model of it, and I brought it to their attention, and I told them, hey, I sent them pictures. I sent them, and I even sent them the fix to what needed to be changed. And I was told that they were going to fix it. So I went ahead and did my video and all that. I did mention that stuff in the video because I felt like that's only fair. But then they didn't fix it. And so we wound up, I got to where I wouldn't deal with them anymore after the first machine. And then, they kept begging and sweet talked us into doing another video for the Vision 2 40 watt, right? And then then came the 45. And so the 40 watt, whatever. It was basically the same machine with a different module. They didn't really change a whole lot of nothing. And then the 45 watt, like I said, mine worked okay, but I know Steve had a lot of trouble with it, and we told them about it. They didn't address it. And if you go into the We Create groups, a lot of the issues that everybody in there is fussing about and is mad about are things that we brought up, even in the first machine that they released, as far as things that y'all need to improve on. So it just, I don't have any like this. What is it? The Lumos Ultra that they just come out with. They offered to pay me to take it. They did all kinds of things, and I've lost confidence in the company. I mean, in general, and I don't. I understand you have a bad machine or you have a bad batch of machines. I mean, I'm a Ford guy. Ford's got more recalls on their trucks than anybody, but they do try to fix it. And so, but if once it got to the point to where I'm kind of having issues with being confident that they're going to address their quality control issues before I go to promoting their product. I mean, not that I'm trying. I don't go around telling people to go buy it, but I don't even want to be associated with it if it's too bad. You know what I mean? Like if they're, and it's not that the machine's that terrible. Some of the machines are great. Some of the machines work fine. It's just if you get one of the ones that don't work great, their follow up is a little subpar, it seems.
Well, yeah, I mean, and this is a known issue. They've had a lot of people complain about it. They've had some of their champions present fixes for it, whether they're 3D printed parts or other people actually modding it with cable chain, and to continue with that design. And well, just the sheer fact that they know about this issue. If you don't have all the original packaging, they charge you $100 to send your machine back to them to get worked on or whatnot. And I can understand maybe paying a deposit for them to ship a box out and you send it back, maybe refund it, but $100 is a lot in that scenario. And I just feel like that spoke to me too, on top of like just the after, the support that I just wasn't really getting. I was kind of getting the runaround, and they were telling me, well, you're obviously doing something wrong. We sent you multiple cables. I'm just like, all right, well, then
yeah, remove cable, replace cable. It's not complicated. Yeah. Well, you can go into the group right now and scroll through there, and the first page or so of posts is going to be somebody's cable broke and they're needing a replacement cable, or their engraves are like, I've seen a lot of them lately that think their engraves are shifting, which I suspect strongly that it's that cable's binding and snatching the module just a little bit, and it's causing it to get variations. But like I said, it's no big deal. I'm not throwing rocks at them. I'm not out here trying to campaign to get them, canceled or anything like that. But I just chose not to continue down that road. I mean, I've 4 machines, and like I said, I haven't had as many problems as some people have. But it was just a decision for me. Tony said, I have some PLA marble coming this week. Should I change to a hard nozzle? I'm not familiar with that particular filament. Are you? And is it what maker is it? Bamboo Labs or what? Because typically, if it's Bamboo Lab, when you order it, if you'll read the description, it'll tell you whether they recommend using a hardened nozzle or a standard one or whatever. But
yeah, I haven't looked into it too much. Usually the reasons you would need to go to like a hardened one is because if it's abrasive. And
I know the wood and the glow in the dark PLA recommend it. I don't know about require, but they recommend it. But I don't know about the marble.
Yeah. I mean, I've used like silk PLAs without any issue. But
yeah. Yeah, silk. I don't think the silk that I got, I don't think it required it. But the wood, I ordered some wood PLA and I didn't read until I got it. And then it was like, we recommend a hardened nozzle to keep from eroding your tip. And that's another advantage that the P2S has, is it comes with a hardened nozzle from start. So all those filaments that I couldn't use with my A1 without upgrading it, I can now. So Somebody's asking, can you use G-Sender with the 4040 Pro Max? G-Sender will work with every GRBL machine I've thrown at it. It worked. So, yeah. I haven't found one so far that don't. Mike Thompson saying, do you know the biggest difference between the Shipoko 5.1 and Pro and the older 5.0 Pro? I found a pretty good deal on a year-old 5.0 Pro with a few upgrades like the touch screen and 65 millimeter spindle. The only difference in the 5.1 and the original 5.0 is the substructure on the bed and the compatibility with the table that they sell now. That's really it. Everything from the Y rails, the X rail, everything up above the wasteboard is the same. It's only from the wasteboard down is different. So if you're not planning on using the table that they sell, or if you're building a sturdy enough table to sit it on, then you're not going to notice it. Mine's the original 5 liter. Mine's the original 5.0 version. And it works fine. I think they doubled the size of the substructure under the spoil board. It went from like a 1/2 inch thick aluminum, I think, to like a 1 inch squared aluminum. Don't quote me on that, but it was a pretty significant upgrade. But it's all from the spoil board down. Greg Wilson, yes, I did. I got the P2S over there, which looks like it's getting about ready to finish.
Mike is asking, what's your recommendations for a laser that will be able to mark part numbers and serial numbers on new aviation parts that we are manufacturing, aluminum and stainless for Dash 8s, 737s, etc.? You're pretty much going to be in fiber territory for that.
With light burn and a pedal.
Yeah. Because most of those are probably going to need an actual like depth to the engraving, not just a marking. So for aluminum and stainless, you're going to be looking at a fiber laser.
Yeah, I'd say a 60 or even 100, depending on your operation and what kind of demand you got for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would definitely say too, probably I'd get a light burn machine with a pedal, because you can actually set your, like if you have predetermined serial numbers or whatever, you can literally build a spreadsheet or just put your formula in light burn, and every time you hit the pedal, it'll pull the next serial number out and automatically enter it in light burn. So that would cut down on how long it took. Like say if you just set the serial number and then it advances one, or either you do like a spreadsheet and it advances. So yeah, but aluminum and stainless, a 60 watt or 100 watt MOPA would chew through serial numbers quick.
Ryan had a good comment about the A1s. He said they're great for most prints in PLA, but if they're over 4 inches tall, you don't like printing tall on a bed slinger. And that's a good point. That does add an aspect of motion to the printed part where the others, the head's moving around. So it's a good thing to consider on that as well.
Yeah, because you're going to have that extra mass, extra weight up top. That's when that bed's going back and forth, especially if you try to run speeds. I guess you could maybe slow it down a little bit to reduce it, but yeah.
No, Greg, unfortunately not. And next few weeks, work's actually going to have me a bit busy. I got to go to our other campus once or twice here in the next couple of weeks. I actually have to travel all the way up to the Fargo Moorhead area, and that's like 4.5, almost 5 hours away. So that'll be fun. And they just got dumped on with snow. We got rain down here and a little bit of what they call grapple. It's like this, like the Dippin' Dot, like the it's like snow, sleet, but it's like this those little clusters of micro snowball type things.
So yeah, it's what's those little candies? What are they? Like cluster candies or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? But it's ice that's froze together.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm stuck at work for quite a while.
Just Alan Jones says I jumped on the bamboo train with the P2S was shipped today. Hey, it's a good machine, especially if it's your first one. You're going to be spoiled because I started with an Ender 3 that I upgraded and upgraded and upgraded and upgraded, and it's like I'm terrible at this 3D printing, and then I got the Bamboo A1. And I'm like, okay, I'm a pro now because it takes a lot of the tinkering and the guesswork out of printing. And this is only my third machine, but it is by far the best one I've had so far.
All right, trying to get caught up here. If we've missed your question, it's okay to put it in again.
David Pingle says, doesn't that drive you nuts when you prototype on one machine and then you move to another machine and you have to change all the settings? I guess you're talking about the 3D printers, having two of them like that. But I typically, whenever I am working on something, like I said, I'll stick with one machine until I get it done. It's not that big a deal with just slicing it.
And
just
also
a different machine. It's really not complicated to me.
This is why you do test, prints or test cuts, test engraves on various materials. Once you've kind of got it dialed in for that material, it usually is pretty easy to move. Like, okay, I got to do this same project on this other machine, but I know that I need to adjust. With lasers, it might be adjusting your kerf settings and your cut settings, but hopefully you've got that library built up where you just apply that setting to that layer and roll with it. Maybe do one quick test on it, make sure the machine's working right. But yeah.
Ryan says, I love when Steve tries to be diplomatic. Starts with a sigh. He's like, well, here it comes. Here it comes.
I mean, I try to I want to be honest, but I also want to
preface it as a dramatic pause.
I mean, I want to be honest, but I also want to preface that with this is my experience. And so, yeah, I mean, I've had some frustrating moments with a lot of manufacturers with their equipment. It's just how they deal with them and how they treat me and or their typical customer that really says a lot. Now, if a company just repetitively has problems, that also speaks to it. Even if they're doing whatever they can to make it right, there's a balance of tolerance for a company that's working with you versus one that won't. But it's I try to balance my feelings and my experiences with reality, and sometimes they mesh, sometimes I got the one off. So
yeah. Steve's saying, true or false, did they outlaw foreign routers? I'm not sure what we're talking about here.
So the FCC made another ruling that internet routers.
Those kind of routers, like network routers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically new. I mean, they tried to do this with drones and such and got a lot of pushback. They tried to basically outlaw any foreign made routers and saying that they're a security risk. There's some plausibility truth in there, but there's also the headache of that. There's no one really making consumer routers. Yeah,
I was fixing to say the average person or small business is not going to pay $10,000 for a locally made router.
Yeah, I mean, even a lot of the enterprise ones, they're not manufactured here, so it's.
Yeah, you're pushing out a they're kind of getting the cart ahead of the mule here on this one, because in order to outlaw a foreign made something or another, you may want to have a homemade source for said product before you do that. Because if they do that, I've got some old ones that I don't use over here anymore that they could definitely power the black market for routers. I mean, you're gonna see people meeting on the street corner selling routers to each other.
Yeah, basically they weren't going to certify any new ones. So any existing models they would still be sold and what. But yeah, that's going to put people in a bind. We'll see how that plays out. Like I said, with the drones, there was a lot of it came out and then they kind of pulled it back.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, it's like I said, it. You never know. But like I said, some of the legislation, some of the rules that come out, these folks don't think things through sometimes.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess we've made it. I've made it to the end. I don't know if we've missed any comments. If we missed your comment, if we overlooked it, by all means, put it in there. Put it in there again. Throw some question marks, some Q's, or whatever in there, so that we can find it.
Yeah. So Santa Laser Engraving is mentioned. I'm interested in the new FlashForge Creator 5, and so that they announced that a little over a week ago. That I think that they're coming out with their multi-head 3D printer. I think right now, if you pre-order it, it's something like $6.99, I believe. And so I'm kind of keeping an eye on it. My FlashForge contact did give me a heads up on it, but they didn't say anything about sending out any samples or anything. And so I don't know that we'll get hands-on preview for any early stuff or whatnot, but they are taking, I think it's one of those deals where you put down like $10 deposit and you get like $50, $70 off the price when it actually releases or something like that. So yeah, I think that's the way, that's like the Snapmaker or what, the U1, and then Prusa came out with theirs. There's a few of those multi-head 3D printers out there, and I think if you're doing multicolor prints, like print in place multicolor, that's definitely the way that things are going. It drastically cuts down on the waste, cuts down on the time to do the purging and such. And so if you're going to be doing a lot of multicolor, that's definitely something to look at in those various models.
There we go. Hot off the printer. Yeah. So we're gonna set it back over and let it cool so it don't get stuck.
Yeah, auditing Arkansas. I have an Ender 3D printer. It's junk. Well, there's been a lot of growth in the 3D printing space. And so, yeah, if you've got like an Ender 3, a lot of us have had those, cut our teeth on it, did a lot of trying to tweak and upgrade it to be reliable and whatnot. And so a lot of the modern ones that have, like the bed leveling, the probing, the flow calibration, the shaper input stuff to kind of sense the various vibration and harmonic type stuff. They're doing a lot to make them really kind of more plug and play and more of an appliance that people drop their ink in or their filament in and go. So they've changed a lot. Unfortunately, some of us cut our teeth on some really old ones.
Yeah, mine wasn't that old, but I did get stuck with the Ender 3. And like I said, I printed some stuff. I made some pretty cool stuff. But it was a lot of trial and error with the Ender.
Asking the follow-up question, or what's the best one to buy? I mean, if you've got a bed slinger like the Ender 3, one of the better upgrades is the Bamboo A1. It's still a bed slinger. It's an open frame design, but super simple to use. Now they're kind of locked down. You're not going to be doing a lot of tweaking with them and adjusting. There are some mods and such you can do with it, but they are kind of just drop it in. And as long as your bed is clean and your filament is relatively dry, they're a pretty solid printer to get in there and actually have some success with. Other ones that I've had good luck with, the FlashForge, I have still the 85X, and very similar it's kind of, I would say it's kind of between an A1 and the P1S. It's a Core XY. It's not a bed slinger, but it's kind of open frame unless you kind of buy their upgrade and print their upgrade where you can enclose it. It's a little bit smaller working area, but the Anycubic has been okay. I had to do more tweaking with that one with their settings, but after kind of getting that dialed in, it seemed to be a little bit better. So, but from just straight out of the box, easy use, you don't want to tinker with it. It's really hard to go wrong with the Bamboo series, especially the A1, or if you want to do more fancy filaments, get the P2S now.
Yeah, the A1 is it is a workhorse compared to the Ender that I had.
Chris Gallagher is asking, my question would be, how many home users out of country router? Oh, how many home users using routers from out of country have access to national security risk files? I mean, that's a low risk, but there is some point to the fact of, I mean, you even look at the new White House app and the permissions they ask for you, the data that you can get just from your location data, your camera data, your contacts list. You can build a lot from not necessarily these are actual top secret or like, financial institution data. You can get a lot of just ancillary data and habitual data and usage data that can be a bit of a risk in the wrong hands.
Yeah, and if you could get access to enough computers and you were outside the country or whatever, you could do some things to cause some disruption in the internet and being able to use the internet and stuff. I mean, it would be more of a nuisance type thing, I think, but I could see where they could have some concerns, but yeah, it's like I said, my thing is come up with a solution to the problem before you outlaw things and create a hardship on people. Let's come up with a solution,
Yeah.
So that's my thing. I mean, we've outlawed things in this country for years, and outlawing them's not going to stop it. You're just going to have containers of routers being sold on the black market. I mean, it's just the way it works. All you're doing is creating a black market for things. If you outlaw it, I mean, give us a solution that's more appealing than going to the black market to get a router,
Yeah. All right. We got a laser question again. Rob Fight's asking, on the alien cell, should the slats be flat side up or narrow side up? I've seen it both ways in videos on the laser. That point,
thin edge,
the thin edge, you're going for the minimal point, and that's what they want. And if you have it here, you got like a good 1/4 inch of area that can cause flashback. It's going to trap any vapors and whatnot.
I want to know whose video got it the other way around now.
Yeah, if they're putting it in this way, they've done it wrong. Any laser with slats, the thinnest, narrowest point goes towards.
I want to know who's ready, who put them in upside down.
So, whether it's the alien cell, the P2S, the S1, any of them that's got slats like that.
Yeah, the whole concept of using them would tell you that the thin side goes up.
So yeah. You can take that as gospel from us.
Yes, thin side is up. I don't know much, but I know that one. I know we're right on that one.
With Shapeoko spoil board with only basic 1/4 inch spoil board above the T-track, would there be any reason not to add another one on top? Just worried about hitting the T-track.
That depends on your skill level.
Yeah, about the only reason that you might not want to do that is if you have a real thick, I forget what your distance between your spoil board and your gantry, your lowest spot on your gantry.
It's not exceptional. I think it's like 3 inches and some change.
So like if you're routinely using like really thick hardwoods,
yeah,
adding another 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch MDF top to it, you're reducing your available distance that by doing that. That being said, it's not a bad idea on a lot of the machines to add.
4 1/4.
You got 4 1/4. Is that's from the?
That's close. That's close. My gantry's too far back to really tell, but it's about 4 1/4.
So depending on your CNC machine and what makes up its spoil board, it's always nice having a replaceable spoil board that's not difficult to do. Now, whether it's the stock slats or ones you put on top, whatever is the easiest that allows you to. Because hey, I've got in my Onefinity, I had a real brain fart, and I've got a really nice deep circle in one spot. Luckily, it didn't hit the T-track, but it's deep, and so those are on the surface I built. I built that, that's my spoil board. I can pull that one out and replicate it whenever I need to. Really, I'm just kind of lazy, and it's not yet in my way, but yeah, I know what you mean, because I have threaded inserts in mine, and that just kissed the top of those threaded inserts, and so I almost destroyed a 1/4 inch Jenny that day. And
yeah, well, the one thing that I will tell you, if you have the Shipoko and you're just getting into it and you're concerned about that, using the bed surface as your Z0 helps with that. Because even if you do forget, let's say you forget to measure your stock thickness or something, you may miss your material, or you may dive too deep in the material. But if you use the bed as your 0, the chances of you digging too deep into the bed are pretty slim. It'd have to be a compound mistake for you to be able to do that if you use the bed surface as your 0. I'm leaning more and more towards using bed surface as 0. And the reason is I've been doing a lot of 3D projects. And so with those 3D projects, I'll do a surface and pass, then I'll come down and I'll do, rough and pass, and then I'll do my finish pass. And during all that, in the event that you need to reset your 0, if you use the surface of the material that you've surfaced, it messes everything up. But if you use the bed surface will never change through that project. And so that's, and at first I was using surface material, but now I'm like, okay, I like the surface of the bed better for those situations. It's just, it's cleaner, because even, especially like if you're doing material that you bought at, say, Home Depot, and one piece is 1/8 of an inch thicker than the piece you used before. You don't have to set your Z every single time you change material. You're just going to have that first pass is either going to be 1/8 of an inch short or 1/8 of an inch deeper. So as long as your conservative speeds are okay, you shouldn't have any problems. So I've moved my whole train of thought over to bed surface as opposed to material, because it's less chances of making bad mistakes. Now you can still break a bit, but plowing through your spoil board into your bed of your machine is not as likely. So.
Yeah. And I see a couple other people mention it too. I've used, and this is where MDF works really well on those, because it's fairly consistent. It's not, unless you really just douse it in water, it tends to stay flat. But I'll use that as kind of like the inexpensive, cheap sacrificial board that maybe I clamp that to my stock spoil board and maybe double side tape / clamp the project to that. Then it also, gives me a little bit of a wiggle room on, I can still cut through it if I need that. Like I absolutely need to cut through, but I don't want to dig into my spoil board, then that works as well.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I've got a couple small pieces of MDF I use when I'm doing, like if I'm doing a 2-sided to where I need to drill a hole to do to put pins in for alignment. I'll use that piece of MDF. I'll clamp that MDF to the bed of the machine, and then I'll take and put my material on it. That way I can drill the index holes all the way through, so that when I flip the piece over, and then I won't wind up looking like I got a woodpecker over there eating holes in my spoil board from all the 2-sided stuff. So there's reasons why you want to be able to swap that out, but
yeah, it's just whether you want to replace the stock spoil board or you want to consider that your base bed. As Chris said, spoil board is there for a reason.
Yeah, mine's got some marks in it. Some of them are deeper than others, but like I said,
I mean,
it happens. I mean,
you,
either you're talking or you get distracted, or I mean, it happens.
well, then, like I say, there's definitely some reasons why you would want to actually cut through it and deep into your spoil board to get your clean cut.
Yeah, especially if you got like a plywood, it's got a thin
Yeah.
veneer. You kind of want to sandwich that veneer between two pieces of material to keep from trashing it. And so that's why, when I'm cutting 1/4 inch ply, a lot of time I'll take 2 pieces of 1/4 inch ply and I'll cut through the top piece and just kiss into the second piece to try to minimize the tear out on the bottom. So, and then I'll just reuse that piece over and over and over. So it's just sacrificed. Steve's asking, do you have a 2-sided video? I think I had 1 or 2. Don't ask me what I named them. You would think I'd put. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I got 2 videos. So if you just search my content and search the word 2-sided, there's 2 videos in there. Yeah. I don't do a lot of them, but it's fun, especially like Christmas ornaments and stuff like that. Small things are fun, but if you're going to do a 2-sided, trust me, start out with some scrap material, set it up, and just do some random pockets and just flip it. Just practice a couple of times before you put any expensive material on there, because you can mess it up. But yeah, I got 2 videos. If you just go to my content and search the word 2 or the number 2-sided, it'll pop the 2 videos up.
Cool.
But yeah, we do a lot of different stuff. I just realized, I mean, all the stuff that between the lasers, the CNCs, the 3D printers, and now the UV printer too. I got. Woo. Jack said he does a pumpkin pie dish, 2-sided. Yeah. Yeah, I made some 2-sided wooden ornaments, like Christmas ornaments, and then I used them as engraver blanks for the lasers, just using some old scrap materials. Because that's some of the cool things you can do. Like if you got little small pieces of oak or small pieces of black walnut laying around that's too small to do anything else with, just put those puppies on the CNC about Christmas and just start making, Christmas ornaments. Yeah, those are big pieces though. I'm talking about like, because see, I keep the small stuff. Hang on.
Yeah, those are just my offcuts, my scrap pile offcuts.
See, like I keep like stuff like this because I'm like, I don't really want to use it for much, but as sure as I don't, I might need a Christmas ornament or a little 3D something another or whatever. And a lot of times, I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of times too, this is an approach I'll use to hold down a material. Is I'll take a paddle bit and drill a hole that's like half the thickness of the material deep, and I'll just put a screw in there, well below where I plan on doing any CNCing, and that way I can surface this material with that screw down in the hole, as long as it's not in the area that I'm gonna be using for the job. So I've come up with some weird ways of holding material flat.
With all your random wood collecting, there's a show on Netflix.
Hoarders?
I mean, I wasn't gonna say it.
Don't ask me what I'm ever going to use this for, but like, you see this, and you can see where I cut a tab. It was a leftover piece. There's the bottom of a tab right there. But yeah, I just a random. I mean, I don't know. Don't want to throw it away.
I mean, you almost got a table leg there if you make 4 more of them or 3 more of them.
Do what?
I said it's almost a table leg there. You just need 3 more of them.
If it was a short table, I could cut it into 4 pieces.
I mean, it could be a your height table.
Yeah, I hear you. Oh, man.
Mike Thompson saying, I wish y'all would have a Saturday night class on the CNC. I'm sure you would have a good class and wouldn't mind paying for your time. I do want to. I've been trying to get things situated back here, over here, wrong shoulder.
Your dyslexia kicked in.
Well, it's not a mirror. It's seeing the self.
Yeah.
No, I have a number of CNC router projects that I figured, hey, I should just slow down and walk through it and make a library of some things to kind of help people with that. So, and that's part of why I've also said I'm trying to get the time and the space to rearrange things here, because I want to have the space that I can play with the new machines that occasionally or whatever get piled up out here. But I don't like it when I have to pile a machine on top of a production machine, such as back in that corner where I've got my Onefinity covered up yet again with machine, because I had to clear off this because my other bench got filled up with that. So yeah, I am hoping to do a little more of that content here this spring and summer.
Talking about using your CNC for a table. Look, sitting over there. It's covered up. So, but yeah, but now the good thing is those are getting picked up this week. I guess I just got to move them from over there. I got to do a little bit of touch up on the back of them. I got them dirty, so I'm going to move them up over here. Auditing Arkansas is saying, did you make that tumbler? Well, I didn't make the tumbler per se, but I did engrave it, which I'm pretty sure is what you meant. But yeah, this was and that's the thing with doing these videos. And a lot of people's like, well, you did a video doing tumblers on this machine and this machine, but you didn't do a video of doing tumblers on this machine. And I'm like, well, the process is the same. And I only need so many clack-shack tumblers. So, I mean, there comes a point where it's like, okay, it's the same process, just different machine. The only difference is going to be your settings. So, but yeah, this one, I think I did these with the Polar Plus, I think, this one. But it's hard to say because I've done so many of them. I do this design quite often. I bought a 20-pack of the orange ones, and I think I'm down to a couple, I think, left of the 20. So I've made quite a few of them, but I do them with the different machines, showing different techniques and different things. I may have even done this with the F1 or the F1. No, maybe could have done it with the Lumos. There's no telling. I do lots of tumbler videos. You just go to my videos and search tumbler, and there'll be plenty.
Yeah. Yep.
And I try to when I'm doing a tumbler job, I try to bring you guys along a lot of times if it's not one that's like classified, like where it's hey, this is for my so and so's party. Don't show them because they'll know about it or whatever.
Yep.
Chris said that piece of wood looks like good for getting empty boxes out of the loft. Now I have to roll this table here out of the way and climb up those steps right there and go in there to get stuff. I got to get some stuff put back up in there. I'm moving machines around and making room. You'll notice that the OmniX, they had still not reached out to me with a solution to the problem with it, so it has lost its space right there. I'm using it to test the Hans maker now. So, yeah, I just been moving things around trying to make room. And then I had to do some rearranging over here and move a shelf. And I had to raise my TV up and move everything over and to make room for the 3D printer. And then I had to move some other stuff to make room for Filament. Hello, Fluffy. Fluffy's like, how come there's a laser in my way right here? She'll figure it out. She'll go around behind it. She's getting a little chunky, though. Watch her. She's like, I'm fixing to jump. I'm fixing to jump. Oh, there I go. And that's a curtain. So they have a bunk bed that I built that's up there. There's 3 cats, but there's only 1 bunk bed. But it's big enough that you can sleep 2 cats on each level. but they don't like sleeping together a lot of times. And so Fluffy just sleeps on a cardboard box.
There you
There's
go.
3.
You need to get Fluffy Cam up there, and you can live stream that on your Clackley's channel when you're not busy with stuff.
They get messy sometimes. like seriously. And I'll come in here some days, and you know how they like to bring trophies and stuff. And I'll walk in the door and I'll be like, what is that smell? And I'm in here on my hands and knees looking under everything, looking for like a mouse or a mole or a bird or something. It's wild. Elaine's asking, have either of you tried color engraving with the X Tool F2? Color engraving in its entirety is it's cool, but if you plan on predicting the color that you're going to get, it's very gimmicky. Like you can do it, but what you're doing is basically you're heating up the material and you're causing a layer of it to oxidize, and depending on the amount of heat and the dissipation of that heat is going to dictate the color that you get. And so it's very much a scientific method to doing it, and if there's any variables, you're not gonna be able to control the color that well. I know the marketing videos, I get it, but trust me, I have sat here and I tried for hours and hours and hours with all kinds of different lasers. I have tried to get that was supposed to have been a bluebird. Okay, it worked. I got blue on one piece of material, and then when I go to this piece of material, I do not get color. So yeah, it's at best. So you can see there's some colors there. It depends on which way you move the material. But yeah, getting colors it's cool, but it is not predictable at all. Do not try to use it to make money and say, oh yeah, I'll make that engraved blue. Because if you do, you're going to be wasting a lot of blanks, and metal blanks are not cheap. But yeah, I play around with the color stuff a few times, but I've gotten to where I don't even like messing with it because they try to hype it so much in the sales pitches that everybody thinks it's just like you can do it so simple, and it's not that simple. It's like I said, if you wanted to say I want random colors, you could absolutely do that, but you're going to get random colors. But if you said I'm going to make 100 of these and the engraved is going to be blue on all of them or green on all of them, good luck with that. Unless you can get Steve to teach you the magic trick.
Nope. Nope. I just had to top off the heater.
The heater? I got the air conditioner on over here, bro.
Well, cooler up here.
Yeah. Yeah, Brandy came in here earlier. She's like, you got it cold in here. It's like, it's 72. It's not cold.
Well, I did have to turn it off because it got up to 72 in here, but no, it was, we got below freezing overnight last night, so it was a little chilly out here.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris says color seems to be an accident that turned into a feature gimmick. And I would agree with you. I mean, you can, like I said, you can do random colors, but just understand they're random.
Now you can do this type of coloring on wood.
Oh, yeah, with a printer. Assuming that your nozzle doesn't get stopped up.
You having some excitement?
Sir?
You having some excitement with that?
I haven't done a lot with it this weekend. I've been trying to catch up on all these jobs, and I got a video that I'm still working on getting done with the Revo Point 3D scanner. But I played around with it a little bit. This was after I let it set and go into its cleaning cycle, and I was like, "This seems a bit green. It's like I'm looking through a Sprite bottle or something at it." And come to find out, you do have to test your color if it's been sitting for a little while occasionally. And so I did a little, the flash clean and then the mid clean or whatever. and ran the same image on a piece of canvas, and that's what I got. So didn't clean it after it'd been sitting up for a few days and doing its like moisturizing thing. Cleaned it and printed this one like 10 minutes later. So there's a lot to learn about it, but this is cool. This is a cheap Walmart art aisle canvas that I bought, and I bought a pack of them and just put it in there. It's just a canvas, and like this is all this is some plywood. I made a little frame just for, you know, presentation purposes, to where I can take these canvases and it literally just kind of like snaps in, and so you get it framed. So yeah, pretty cool. The detail and the color. If I can get it, I was trying to get the dog's face. There we go. It's pretty amazing. I'm gonna be honest with you. The quality of this photo, like I've had stuff, like, you know how you can get stuff printed at like Walgreens or Walmart or whatever, they'll print it on a canvas. We've had some of those done before at work and at home, and this is just as good as what they had with their photo printers. So I like this. This is probably one of the uses that I'll be doing some stuff with. Part of my video and my review, I'm making some decorative pieces for my wife's office at City Hall. And so that's why I'm developing like the frames and stuff like that along with it. But yeah, so I do have a Eufy E1 now that I'm playing with, and that's what I'm using here. So UV printing is coming. I'm just having to learn it because there's a lot of other stuff that I didn't know about. So if you want to do color, like Steve said, get you one of those.
Well, you're going to do enough of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does do a lot of maintenance. So, but so far, it hasn't been terrible. Like even for somebody like me that's only used it a few times since I've got it, it's doing its thing. But I'm sure it, you know, every week it's adding a little bit of money to the tab because it's using materials. But we'll see how it goes.
Well, I mean, on the Eufy, once it goes into its kind of like does a deep clean and goes in long term, it's just good. It's happy and sitting there. It's like, but every time you go to prime it and print something, if you only do a couple things and it goes a deep cycle again, and a couple days later you print a couple things, it does a deep cycle, then
you better do purchase.
Yeah, you need to kind of save up your stuff, do it in batches, maybe let it sit for a week, do another batch, you know, however you do that, because it's that priming and then that cleaning solution that, you know, gets used up a lot faster, and that's where you kind of like lose out. The nice thing is that it does protect itself and goes into that mode as long as you keep it plugged in and powered on. But yeah, it's the intermittent use of a onesie twosie items that are going to make you feel like you're going through a lot of ink real fast and not printing much with it.
Yeah. Like I said, this coming up week, I do plan to do more with it. It's just been, like I said, I've been between jobs and other videos and stuff, trying to get stuff done and yard work and all the things. It's been a little tough. But you can see, like right now, it is in maintenance status is set to moisturizing, I guess. So yeah, so it's just kind of in timeout right now. It's just chill. So
yeah,
but yeah, I've got it plugged into my Afiri UPS battery backup because it's kind of over there on a cart by itself, and it seems to be doing good. So we'll see.
Jared Lyon makes a comment. Clack did a good video about FOMO on Next Big Machine. I know y'all don't like Vision Pro, but it's making me $500 a month on tumblers. My Vision and Lumos is completely paid off on jobs alone. And that's why I say, for some people, they're working great, and I'm happy for them that it's working well. For myself, that's just not the experience I had, and it was on more than one machine. Now, the Lumos was a perfectly fine machine. It didn't necessarily... The fact that I have the X-Tool F1 and F2, and other machines in that environment make me more likely to use those. But the Lumos was a good capable machine. I will say I was very disappointed when they brought it out, and it too was stuck in unidirectional engraving until they upgraded later. And that's just one of the other things that makes me frustrated with them, is that in this day and age, some of these things just shouldn't be issues and such. But yeah, to the point of fear of missing out, you know, buy the machine that does the job that you need it to. Just because something else comes out later that has a feature doesn't mean you need it, and your other machine's still doing you fine until you can't live without whatever that is. Make do with your machine that's hopefully paid off or isn't going to cost you anymore. So
yeah, got another one. That's what was that, 5? Yeah, that's 5 so far. So
Mike Thompson's asking, what printer did you use on that? I think he's talking about the print you were showing earlier.
The canvas. The canvas was done on the Eufy E1. I just recently got it. I haven't put out a lot at all with it. Been learning how to work it, and so far so good. I like it. I've got some other things coming, like the sticker stuff I think is supposed to be coming, but I'm having to educate myself on how to use it, when to use it, and all the things before. I don't want to mess it up because it scares me when I'm working with new machines and I don't know how to operate. So I'm doing some homework and some researching right now on what I can do and what not to do. What is it? 60 millimeters. I can't do anything taller than 60 millimeters, I guess it is. Because I've been tempted to stick some stuff in there, and it's like, oh no, you can't do that.
Well, that's the limitation on placing it with the camera. The overall print height limitation is about 100 millimeters, but then you got to use more the absolute coordinate kind of position.
The zero something 0 point setting or something that calls it. Yeah. See, I'm learning it, but I've been playing around doing some pretty cool stuff with it. I do think that it's a good case use if you're doing like a lot of customization stuff. I think combining it with the CNC or with the lasers or with the 3D printers, I think that's where the machine really excels, because now you could make, like, let's say this was just a solid container. Not only could you make the container, but you could actually print like logos on the lids if you wanted to. Like with Steve's video he did with the trains, where he was 3D printing the train cars and then using the Eufy to actually put decals and stickers and stuff on them, so to speak. I think combining the tools is where that it really shines once you do that. So yeah. So now I've got my thing is to come up with a project that I use the CNC, the laser, the 3D printer, and the Eufy on. So that's going to be a hard tie together for all those machines. It's going to be a very complex project. But yeah, I heard y'all talking about the Lumos. I liked the Lumos, but again, I've got a bunch of those machines sitting around here. So that wound up going to one of the viewers at a meet and greet. I didn't have any major problems with my WeCreates. The problem that I had was not necessarily the machines as much as it was some of the people that we were having to deal with the company. I mean, my machines I had worked okay. There were some things that needed to have been addressed that I feel like they should have caught before they released the machines. But, companies, all kind of companies do that. So that's not a big deal. But yeah, the Lumos was actually a fairly effective machine, other than that whole unidirectional thing that they had going on, to where it would only, it left to right, not right to left. Yeah, Chris said I would have gladly paid double for my UV, but the Sculpt Fun V5 does what I need. 3D internal, has a red framing function. The 10 watt did not make a value sense compared to the 5 watt. Yeah, the being able to frame with a UV is a big deal. Like the X tool that I have, you can frame, but the Com Marker Omni X, you couldn't. That's a pain. Even the Omni 1, it's a pain not being able to have that pointer frame.
Just a note of clarification. He didn't say he would have happily played double. He said he could have easily paid double.
Oh, could have easily.
I didn't want to put words in Chris's mouth. He's because I'll throw money around. Yeah, no, that I'd love to get my hands on the Sculpt Fun one because it seems like a nice balance between the Omni 1 and the Omni X, while also adding, like you say, that red framing function. So
Yeah.
Mike Thompson's asking how long did it take to print that? I'm guessing the
photo.
Yeah,
45 minutes, I think it was. But that was with that. It was a white canvas, and so I only did one layer of white because it was already white. I just more or less did one layer of white as kind of a diffusing layer, just in case there was a color variation between what it needed in white and the regular white. So just like 45. I think it was 45 minutes total.
And what size is that?
8x11.
Okay.
Don't let me lie. Yeah, 8 by 10. It's in the video, but I'm wanting to say it was 45. Why does that sound like I'm off?
I was trying to remember because I was doing some.
Let me look.
I think there were 6x9 ones, and they were about 25 minutes, and it was one layer of white, and then CMYK, and then the varnish gloss on top. So, a lot of that does depend on the area, but also in some of the cases with these, depending on your substrate, you might have to add extra layers of white underneath, and so that adds to your cost and your time. And then on some cases, you might not add the varnish. The 3D textured ones are the ones that take forever. So
I thought I took some pictures or video. I may not have, or either I haven't uploaded it to my computer yet. But yeah, I'm wanting to say 45. That for some reason I'm thinking 45. I could be wrong.
Yep. Well,
Steve's asking, when you make vacuum hose adapters, what allowance do you give them so they're not too tight? Well, I play whack-a-mole a lot of times. One thing that I will tell you, like, let's say you're making this adapter. One thing that you can do to kind of save yourself some trouble is if you have a size for like this end that you think is correct, instead of printing this whole part, you can create just like a 20 millimeter tall piece, like it look like a bracelet basically, and you can print that and then fit test it and see if that fits. And if it does, then you just extrude it and add it to the rest of your design. So you don't always, when you're designing this stuff, you don't have to print the whole thing to check to see if it fits. You could literally just print like that much of this piece here, test fit it, and if it fits, then good. If it doesn't, you can add, half a millimeter, quarter millimeter, 0.1, whatever you need to add to it, or subtract from it. Because a lot of things, especially when you start getting to those type tolerances, a little goes a long way when you're sliding these things on a hose. Like this one's actually it's a little bit loose. But another trick that I'll tell you with hose adapters is your friendly painter's tape. You can put one lap of painter's tape a lot of times and get a nice snug friction fit, even if it don't fit completely, to use your prototypes. So like if you do print one like this and like it's 1/10 of a millimeter off, just one wrap of painter's tape around the thing, cut it with a knife, and pop it on there. So, but yeah, this one I really messed this one up. I got cocky, and when I did my lofting, I didn't loft it correctly, and it's literally got little tiny holes. You can see the little tiny holes right there. And I was like, how did that happen? And it was because I didn't loft it. It was an internal issue, and I did not see it. Like right there, you can see where it does it at. I didn't see it until it printed, and I looked at it, and I'm like, what in the world? So the other one should be on the printer now. Matter of fact. Is that you beeping?
Someone just beeped.
Is it that laser behind you? It looks like the screen's on.
No,
I thought I heard it earlier.
I think it's my alien cell because I closed the software. Probably
Okay.
going asking.
Yeah, that did sound kind of like the alien cell chirp, like the disconnect chirp.
Jared Grady's asking if printed on clear acrylic with UV, could you use it as a light box or print ink is too thick for light to come through? Yeah, you can. I actually did a video playing around with that. I 3D printed the shell. I laser cut the clear acrylic, and then I used the UV printer to basically I took the Star Trek motion picture movie poster and cut it to shape. And so there are some caveats with that. You got to play around with the balance of getting quality color, but not having it be too opaque. But it's definitely doable. So I do have a video out there from like last June. If you want to check it out, you'll see kind of how it worked out.
Egregore. One reason is because there is a chance that this could end up in my Etsy shop, this file. And so whatever I do, I make sure I print at least one, sometimes two or three of them and test myself just to make sure that the file's good and there aren't any little hidden gremlins in it. So yeah. So if it's something that I'm just using for myself, I'm gonna be honest with you, I could take some HVAC tape and put around there and fix that for an exhaust nozzle. But one, my OCD would drive me nuts, and two, like I said, I do need to work the bugs out of it just in case the file, somebody asks for the file or it ends up in Etsy or something. So, and to me, part of the fun that I have is solving the problems more so than, it's the process to me is as rewarding sometimes as the end result. So I enjoy it. It's fun. I guess that's why I do so much stuff. What's up? Cody over at Cadence Manufacturing, home of the new 1/8" end mill kits, might I add.
Well, and also the 1/8" upcut.
Yeah. He just released that. He just released the whole pack of the 1/8". The only thing that we didn't get in that pack that I've talked to him about, I don't know if it's coming or not, was a tapered ball nose with like a 30-second ball nose or something.
Yeah.
That's the only one that we hadn't got so far.
Anyway.
There's a question for you because you deal with IKEA. I haven't dealt with IKEA.
Why is IKEA so top secret? I messaged them about rotary and they sent me a $10 promo. I was interested in cutting acrylic for UV and having backup tumbler machine. Impossible to get an answer. Well, part of that is IKEA used to be an actual separate company that was like second cousin to Adam Stack. Adam Stack recently fully acquired them, and I think a lot of the people, where there were duplicates, the positions were eliminated. So so a lot of my old original IKEA contacts aren't actually there anymore. Adam Stack has just kind of taken over on that. So I'm sure that's part of it, is they're still, people are trying to absorb the product stuff. And then like, as far as the master coming out, as I mentioned earlier, I think they had some issues getting them out to a lot of us. Mine sat in customs for a number of weeks. And so I don't know that they have, I think things are just a little chaotic with them right now with trying to take it in-house with Adam Stack and make sure they've got, all the information on it. The other side of that is sometimes, especially with Adam Stack having their own product line of things they've been kind of coming out with, now absorbing IKEA. Sometimes companies just get spread too thin. They try to do too much with too few people, and they actually aren't able to answer your question on it, which is something to be concerned about.
Yep. I haven't dealt with them. Like I've had this whole time, I have not had any dealings with IKEA. I think I did get an email one time from them, but it was one of those, where they ping you and then you reply and then crickets. So yeah, it's not something I'm familiar with. All right, guys. So we're 2 hours and 9 minutes into it. That's about our limit. 2 hours. We start turning into pumpkins and all that, and I get sleepy because my boss man makes me get up early and come to work out here in the mornings. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So, what you working on this week, Steve? Other than are you still trying to clean that table over there off because it's looking a little cluttered? I ain't gonna lie.
No,
you got the laser pecker, the IKEA. What else you got hiding back there?
Yeah, no, I mean that's the things I've got piled up now because 2 of these machines are supposed to be a lot earlier. But hopefully finishing up that Creality Falcon. That's down in the basement workshop, and then we got these 2 out here that need to try to get through, and some projects. There's some home projects. One of them that I'm actually trying to figure out if it's worth spending my time to set up on the CNC or just go old school on. But I might try to turn it into a CNC project for a basically it's a towel shelf for the bathroom.
Cool.
I got some cedar that I need to make a slatted towel
Are you
shelf.
talking about some of that wood over there behind you?
Yeah. Some of it does actually have purpose. It's just getting time to get to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I trying to get through those machines and then try to get some projects done because yeah, I do want to get. I do need to get through some of that material on some projects and clear it out so that I can move some machines around and not have to shuffle so many things.
Cool. So this week, hopefully, I'm going to get the Revel Point Inspire 2 3D scanner. I'm going to try to get something out on that. 3D scanning is definitely not my strong suit, but I feel like I've got a good enough understanding of it now to, let you know exactly how difficult it is because there's an art to it. I don't care what anybody says. There is an art to 3D scanning. The techniques and the procedures and the things that you need is there's some preparation has to be done there. But I've gotten some decent results with the Revel Point, the Inspire, and I think it's a valuable thing to have. It's just you're going to have to study it. You're going to have to learn it a little bit. So I got that coming. As well as hopefully I can get something out with the Eufy Mate E1. I know everybody and their mama's got one. They've been putting out videos for over a year with it. So there's not anything groundbreaking going to be in my video, but it will hopefully give you an idea of, at least if you respect my opinion or trust my opinion, it'll give you my opinion of where it fits as far as in the workflow and the potential ways that you could use it to try to, up your game as far as customizing things or making things in the shop. So that's kind of where I plan to go with that video because the whole unboxing, putting it together, all that's been done at least 50 times because I think I've watched all 50 of the videos that are out there about it. So I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I want to just do some videos with it, show you guys how it works and that kind of thing. So that's all I got. Cool. Anybody else? Anybody? What we got? What else we got, Cody? We got any new bits coming out? But that's about it. Event wise, y'all guys don't forget the next event that I plan on going to is going to be in August. The Next Level Makers event over in Texas. Me and Steve are both planning on going to it. And I'm kind of up in the air right now whether or not I'm going to try to go to Nashville in October to the Vectric thing. I'm up in the air. I don't know. I've considered it because it's only a 4-hour ride from my house, but I don't know yet. The October is in band football season, so I don't know that it's going to work out with my schedule. So, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming, guys.
That's all we got.
All right. Well, you guys have a good one. I'm going to get back to 3D printing.
I'll see y'all next week.
See ya.